Well, we're inside the press box at King George High School, where the Culpeper Media Network is proud to bring you tonight's action. High school football, Battlefield District matchup tonight between the host Foxes of King George and the visiting Blue Devils of Culpeper County. I'm Mark O'Connell, alongside Steve Peacock, Johnny Krawchuk behind the camera, and I trust Nicole Wooten's back in the studio to make it all happen, Steve. Well, Battlefield District matchup, the Blue Devils have won 3 straight, but I think they get a much tougher opponent tonight. I guess really the toughest since they played Eastern View.
I agree, Mark, and this is probably they're going to be their toughest opponent all season long with King George. King George beat the perennial power Louisa last weekend. They're the real deal. They're loaded, especially on offense. They got a lot of firepower with their 2 receivers that they have. They're already sophomores, Division I prospects in Mekhi White and Chase Wiggins. You'll see a lot of them tonight. Culpeper is going to have to really be stout defensively tonight. Because of the weapons that King George presents. You know, not only can they run it, but they can throw it. And their quarterback, Zach Ferguson, who's a balanced quarterback, he can run and throw, so he's a dual threat. So with Culpeper on defense tonight, you got to figure out, name your poison. Do we gang up to try to stop the run, or do we have to put double coverage out there or play a zone coverage to keep those King George receivers in front of them tonight? Big, tall task. See if the Blue Devils are going to be up to it.
Speaking of tall, no pun intended, both those receivers you mentioned are tall, athletic. Scary part is they're only sophomores.
Yeah, and they've already got D1 offers from UVA, Virginia Tech, NC State, Carolina. They're all looking at them.
Well, let's talk about the Blue Devils, Steve. We said they've won 3 straight. Their power, no question, their strength. It's got to be the running game with Malachi Terrell. Leads the Battlefield District in rushing yards. That's great. They've had success running the ball against every team against Eastern View. That being said, you know, the test tonight for them is to overcome King George's front 7. And I'm not really sure where they stand as far as their grade is concerned.
Right, their grade is concerned. They're going to be strong up front, but they know Terrell, they're going to try to stack the box and stop Terrell and make Culpeper beat you throwing the ball. So what I look for Culpeper is going to have to do is be a little bit more balanced. They're going to have to use the throw some to take the pressure off Terrell because, again, King George is going to be strong defensively up front. So the offensive line for Culpeper, if they can open holes for Terrell, he's got 899 yards coming into this game. The nearest running back has only got 600 and some odd yards. So Terrell leads the Battlefield District and the whole Fredericksburg area in defense. Rushing yards.
101 yards shy of a 1,000-yard season already for Malachi Terrell. So that's the key for the Blue Devils offensively. But defensively, there's no question that when the Culpeper defense is on the field, the weapons you're talking about, wide receivers from King George, defensive secondary is going to be really tested tonight. And my question is, do you think they have the sort of personnel that can kind of match up with these 2 receivers? And we haven't even mentioned the tight end, Kyle Ravella.
Right. I don't think they do. So they're either going to have to play a lot of zone coverage, and then they're going to have to put pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have to make Ferguson be uncomfortable. If they can get him and be uncomfortable up front and run him around, then they stand a chance. But when they're going through, if they just let Ferguson stand back there with those 2 wide receivers plus Ravello, it's going to be a long night for the Blue Devils.
You know, one of the assistant coaches for Culpeper we spoke to said succinctly, we got to play clean tonight. And that means no penalties, no mistakes, that sort of thing. Bring your A game and don't do things that hurt your cause.
Right.
And I think they have to have that sort of game tonight. And we've seen both the Blue Devils and the Cyclones, like last week against Chancellor, just really shoot themselves in the foot with these penalties. So if they clean it up, and the offensive line can do its job, it really kind of comes down to that Blue Devil secondary, I think.
It is. I agree 100%, Mark. If they can come in halftime with a tight game or not, being blown out, that gives the momentum to the Blue Devils that they're going to have to play, though, 60 minutes of hard football, basically. They're going to have to, 48 minutes hard, then go into halftime, make sure they get well taken care of halftime, rehydrated. It's a little bit cool tonight. It's got that artificial turf field, so it's going to be a little bit different for the Blue Devils because that's mainly that when you have an artificial turf field, speed comes out. And that's what Culpeper's going to have to worry about is the speed of King George. If they can slow them down tonight, they have a chance.
All right, anecdotally speaking, we were on our way up here, and as we got to the traffic light to turn left, you said if we had gone right, we'd have gone down the road for a while and gone to what used to be known as the Pit.
The Pit.
That's what King George's Stadium was known for. We had a couple of broadcasts out there. Definitely a unique experience. So we come up to this press box tonight, and we're carrying our equipment. And we had a pretty good hike up. It felt like we got a workout, right? Yeah. Well, one of the fellows in the stands tonight, older guy, veteran, wearing a T-shirt that says, "I'm still a fan of the Pit." And I think what it means is that you get used to this tradition and everything that when it's the nostalgia of it. But you got to figure that King George, like Fluvanna County, very proud of the stadium they have.
They are, Mark. And the Pit, you had rocks. They were picking up rocks before the game to make sure the players wouldn't land on them, and because it was in an old quarry.
Yeah.
But, this thing's been in existence now for about, I think, 5 years, and it's a beautiful stadium, beautiful place to play. So.
And you said on the artificial turf.
Yep.
And it certainly can make for a faster game.
It is. And
so as you pointed out, the Blue Devils have to figure out a way to slow down these Foxes.
They do. They're going to have to play, like your comment earlier, they got to play clean.
Got to play clean, bottom line.
And got to play hard, 48 minutes hard as they can go. And
looking forward to calling the game with you.
Me too.
Battlefield District matchup, big game. How big would it be if the Blue Devils win? Because we're not talking about just beating a good opponent, but what that would mean in the point system.
Big time in the points. That would basically give Culpeper the driver's seat in Division III for this district up here to get in the playoffs. So it could be a big win for Culpeper if they were to be able to come in on top. Like I said, bring their A game and see what happens.
And play clean.
All
right, looking forward to calling the game with you. We'll hope you enjoyed our pregame show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have team captains meeting in the center of the field for tonight's coin toss. In the meantime, you're watching Blue Devils football on the Culpeper Media Network.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
From King George High School, welcome to tonight's broadcast of high school football as the visiting Blue Devils take on the defending Battlefield District and Region 4B champions, Foxes of King George. And you're looking at the team captains meeting in the center of the field. I'm Mark O'Connell alongside Steve Peacock, Johnny Krawchuk behind the camera tonight. Let's name those King George team captains, Steve, from left to right. Number 20, Kyle Ravello, tight end. You're going to hear a lot about him tonight. Number 10 is the quarterback, Zach Ferguson. Number 1 is Gary Lane, and number 72, the lineman David Peebles. Let's pick up the Blue Devils if we can.
It's number 4, number 6, and number 8.
All right, so number 4 is Bailu Kabidi. Number 6 is Jonte Washington, and number 8, Dylan Shiflett. So tonight we mentioned the Blue Devils come in with a 3-game winning streak. They won over Caroline last week, 22-0. King George is also 3-0. And they easily defeated James Monroe last week, 41-7. Well, how good is King George? We're going to find out tonight. We know about the receivers. Chance Wiggins and Mackay White are weapons. And here's the official. Tells us that the Blue Devils won the toss and will defer, and King George will receive. So we're going to see the King George offense, Steve. And when we talk about Zach Ferguson, who replaces Mutter, that was the fellow's last name, Charles Mutter. So Ferguson's a junior. Those two receivers you've talked about, Division I players, who are going to be eventually playing Division I, are both sophomores, Chance Wiggins and Mackay White. So we're going to see the King George offense, of course, barring a miscue on the kickoff, but so early on, the Blue Devils' defense will be tested.
Yeah, they will, Mark. And I like that idea by deferring the kick and see what King George is going to run and see if you can scheme. And on what you have to do defensively against them. And basically what I said in the pregame, Mark, what they're going to have to do is get pressure on the quarterback. And you're also, you mentioned Rivello, one of their captains.
Right.
He plays tight end, but his big calling's on defense. He's a linebacker. He will hit you. But they're going to go out now in the kickoff return team, and barring, just Culpeper doesn't let a big don't allow King George to get good field position on this kickoff.
Okay, well, R.J. Uribe will tee it up for the Blue Devils, decked out in those solid white uniforms, blue helmets, gold trim, and King George in the solid blue uniforms with gold trim. So the Blue Devils will kick off here to start things at King George High School, and we were talking about how nice this field is. Obviously, you can see they're going to be playing on the artificial grass, and it certainly makes for a faster game, as you pointed out, Steve, in our pregame, and we suspect King George will have its share of team speed. Here is Uribe's kick. We're underway. Keep it short. This is going to be fielded at the 30-yard line. Coming this way with it across the 35-40, breaks a tackle, cross midfield. Is a return man there, number 15, Elijah Sherfield. Gives King George outstanding field position to start things, and already we've got our first penalty flag down. How many did we have last week? About 100?
Yep, against over 150 yards against Eastern View, but this is going to be a horse collar tackle, and they're going to tack on another 15 yards right here. But, that's the only way they could get him down. He was going to run that kickoff right back, and I just said that's what Culpeper couldn't allow him to do, but here it is going to be a 15-yarder. Horse tackle, horse collar.
We had one of those calls last week in the game between Eastern View and Chancellor. So we'll check the fellow with the white hat there. That's our referee. Will give us the call.
Let's see what they're going to do. They haven't marked it off yet.
Seems to be a little delayed in their
Calling
calling capacity here.
Yep, they waved it off, Mark.
Well, that's a good thing for Culpeper. Of course, King George does have outstanding field position.
Horse guys, no, they didn't
Oh, here
wave
it
it
comes.
off.
Yeah. Now they mark it off.
Yeah.
Why such a delay?
Because they're trying to figure out what yard line the infraction occurred.
Well, now they're going to have it at the 27-yard line. Does King George? This is how they're going to start on offense. And the quarterback is Zach Ferguson. He wears jersey number 10. He's a junior, 6 feet, 185 pounds. Man in motion. Ferguson going to throw. He's got time. Over the middle, incomplete. We had some contact out there. Incidental, no call. That was Alex Lowe defending on number 4, Mackay White, and he is 6'4", 175. We mentioned Mackay White and Chance Wiggins, their primary receivers.
And Mark, look at the height advantage that Mackay White has over Alex Lowe. That's just going to be. They're going to try to do that all night.
Did I say Lowe at 14? I meant Cole Plaster.
Plaster.
My mistake, Steve. All right, here is 2nd and 10. Man in motion. Low snap. They fake it. And then Ferguson keeps it, lowers his shoulder, gets down about the 20. He faked it to Gabe Ailey, the team's leading running back, and down to near the 20-yard line, it looks like. We'll pick up a 70 yards. We'll bring up 3rd and about 3.
Yep.
Yeah, just inside that 20-yard line. 3rd and 3. Opening minute here this first quarter. And King George on offense starts out with excellent field position at the Blue Devil 27. They have it now 3rd and 3 from the 20. Zach Ferguson, your quarterback. Alongside him is senior running back Gabe Ailey. Ferguson going to throw. He's got a receiver. Caught, breaks a tackle. End zone. Mackay White. We've already talked about him and Chance Wiggins being dangerous. And right there, Steve, he made it look easy, and he broke a tackle along the way.
He did, Mark, and it was just easy. You get down in that red zone, all they got to do is just float those 2 receivers, and all the quarterback has to do is throw it up there, and they go get it. That was too easy, and that's what the Blue Devils could not do starting out this game, was already give up. They gave up a big play on the kickoff, and then with the penalty, 3 plays later, boom, touchdown, King George.
Kyle Ravello is the holder for Max Lipinski. He gets it down. Lipinski gets it up and through. 7-0 our score in favor of the Foxes. That took all of a minute and 5 seconds to score first. Well, You know, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. That's Fountain Sons at 825-3530. Well, you know, we've been live a lot this year. We aren't tonight. We will be next week. And our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. Johnny, just a moment ago, was looking across the, honing in on the visiting bleachers. Not a big crowd up here from Culpeper, but you look in the stands over here for King George. Obviously, they love their football here, and this is probably the biggest ticket in town tonight.
It is, Mark. This is the hometown. They're like Louisa. Everyone comes out here on Friday night to support their Foxes. Now, I've never been a big fan of, say, you know, Culpeper's got to score, to score to even up this game, but that is important. They have to score, I think, to answer the Foxes, because if they don't, this could be over way, before halftime.
Lipinski, line drive kick, and one hopper to the return man inside the 5-yard line. This is number 23 for Culpeper, Malachi Terrell on the return. Average field position here for the Blue Devils as they go on offense for the first time tonight. So, is it true we have an addition to the Culpeper coaching staff?
Yes, we do. We got a new offensive coordinator, Mike Jenkins, who is be calling the plays here for the Blue Devils. And people remember Mike from the 1999 state championship team. So that's a good pickup by Coach Ford and his staff to have him on board as offensive coordinator.
And Steve, that was 22 years ago,
yep.
1999, that banner season. All right. We'll get our first look at the Blue Devils here on offense. They trail 7-0. Going to start from their 25-yard line. You know, the quarterback's Bennett Sutherland. Got a couple of running backs back there. Jakari Edwards, Malachi Terrell. Terrell, the ball carrier. They bottle him up, and he'll lose yardage on the play. We mentioned Terrell leading the Battlefield District in rushing yards with 899. Needs 101 to eclipse the 1,000-yard mark this season. Plenty of time to do that. But I think they're certainly more concerned about team play rather than individual stats.
Yeah, up front, Mark, and the big boys up front, Jose Jimenez and Corey Hutchinson and company, they're going to, and Will Holland, they've got to be getting blocks off to get Terrell open.
Key is going to be that offensive line for the Blue Devils. They back to Malachi Terrell. Looks for some running room, won't find any, and a nice solo tackle made by Gary Lane, one of those team captains. And now we got a 3rd and long for the Blue Devils here.
And see, this is what you can't get into with King George is this, 3 and out and giving them back to that potent offense. Like I said, Mark, it'll be a long night for the Blue Devils. They've got to figure out a way how to move that football, and they're going to have to use the pass because you see how King George is loading the box against Terrell.
As you predicted they would. 3rd and 12, Blue Devils. Long snap count, and the only person that drew offsides was the Blue Devil man in motion, top of your screen receiver. That's probably going to cost the Blue Devils 5 yards unless I missed something.
Yeah, it's going to cost them 5 yards. Looks like Edwards came in for him. That was Alex Lowe jumped off, wasn't it? Yeah. All
right, so mark it off 5 to the 18, and that'll make it 3rd and 17. Not a good start for the Blue Devils. They need a big play here on 3rd and long. Bennett Sutherland, your quarterback in the gun. Hands it off Malachi Terrell, looking for some running room. Doesn't find too much, and actually does not get back to the original line of scrimmage. He'll mark it at the 24, where it'll be 4th down and 11.
Again, Mark, that's what I was worried about right here with Culpeper. Were they going to be able to move the ball against King George? And right there, they weren't able to move it 3 plays, and now they're punting. And plus, the penalties. We've already got 2 penalties against the Blue Devils. They're already hurting them right out of the gate.
Well, the big one, of course, was a horse collar on the special teams. All right, here's Uribe. His kick from the 10-yard line. It's a high kick, but it's short. Let's see how this one bounces. Blue Devils are down it inside the 45-yard line. Actually at the 47. So once again, King George will start with a short field. You don't want to give these receivers and Zach Ferguson a short field, do you?
No, you do not. You do not. And it's going to, like you said, that big line up front, Jaden Johnson, 56, Corey Hutchinson, Will Holland, number 53, number 75, like I said, Corey Hutchinson, and 56. and that's going to be Quentin
Butler.
Butler. They've got to get off and get pressure on this quarterback.
All right, here Zach Ferguson and his offensive teammates back on the field, leading 7-0. They hand it off to Ailey. Straight up the middle he goes. He's got some running room. Breaks a tackle, and he's still going inside the 25-yard line. That's a pickup of about 17 yards unofficially for Gabe Alley. Offensive line opened up a running lane for him, and he really took advantage of it.
They did. They just kicked out Will Holland, the defensive end, and ran right behind it. And you aren't going to take down Ailey with an arm tackle. You're not going to do it.
Gabe Ailey's his name. Is a senior, 5'9", 205. They have the ball now, the Foxes do, at the Blue Devil 23. 7:50 to go, first quarter action. Clock running. Our current score, Foxes 7, Blue Devils nothing. Gabe Ailey again the ball carrier. And this time the Blue Devils do a good job of limiting his pickup to 3 yards. And in on the tackle, number 21, Colby Charlton of Culpeper. Second down and 7 coming up.
And this is where the secondary is going to get tested, Mark.
Know about those receivers.
Yeah,
Makai White has a touchdown catch,
And you
and
got
he's at the top of your screen.
And you got Chance Wiggins down here against, looks like plaster.
Man in motion, Kyle Ravello. Blue Devils showing some pressure here. Ferguson picks it up. He's got Ravello. And Ravello will be down at the 10-yard line, and that'll be enough for a Foxes first down. Well, you know, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673. New set of downs for the Foxes. And they can get a first down because they have it marked at the 11 rather than the 10. All right, here is Ferguson. Quick throw, going to the end zone. Going up for it. No contest. And this one is caught by Chance Wiggins.
Mark, let's go to replay on that one. And look at this, Mark. It's just too easy with the quarterback. Ferguson, he just throws it up there, and Culpeper doesn't have anybody that can go up that high. And Chance Wiggins now has gotten into the scoring, and now that's put King George up 13-0 with a point after coming right now.
Well, Kyle Ravello is the holder for place kicker Max Lipinski. Lipinski's a sophomore. Kyle Ravello, he's a good one. He's a senior, linebacker, tight end. You mentioned as good as Ravello is a tight end, he's probably going to get more looks as a defensive player. This one's going to be blocked because the Blue Devils had excellent penetration there. And I'm not sure officially, but I think William Holland may have actually blocked that one.
I think he was, Mark. I think you're correct on that one. He might have got a hand in there, but a little solace for the Blue Devils because they're down 13-0. And now, again, they're going to get the ball, and they got to figure out a way to move the ball against these Foxes. They're not overly big, but they got athletes on the field, and you got to get the ball in the best hands of your athletes, and hopefully we can see we can do anything on this next offensive series here.
Well, Steve, and a couple of concerns I have about the Blue Devil defense. When they face the King George offense, Zach Ferguson has not been pressured, and he's got a quick release and some big targets out there.
He does. I mean, and that's when you got these two bookend receivers that are both 6'4", can fly, and they're only sophomores, and both of them are getting D1 looks. Now, number 9, Chance Wiggins, get more looks, but then they look at these when scouts come out to look at him, they see White and they see a tandem.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both 6'4", and they're both sophomores. Wiggins weighs a little more at 195, and White at 175. This kick going to bounce out of bounds. We'll have a penalty flag.
Yep.
Likely Blue Devils taking over at their own 35. All right, well, you know, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Copperfish and Time Market. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. So, 13-0 our score. Almost at the midway mark here in this first quarter. And it's been all Foxes so far. King George up 13-0. Culpeper was going its second offensive possession here. On the first one, they started at their own 25, went 3 and out. Now they're going to start this one with a little bit better field position at the 35.
And again, Culpeper's got to figure a way to, to stymie the quickness of King George in the defensive back
That's Ravello showing pressure, and now they bring it up. Here's Bennett Sutherland. He's going to be pressure. He's going to throw it. This is going to be incomplete. He sort of had a receiver out there, but I think that the recognition came a little bit late.
Yeah, it did, and he was under pressure, and he kind of had thrown it away. And that's what King George is going to do. They're going to realize Sutherland's only a sophomore, and he probably has not seen, other than Eastern View, the caliber of athletes that he's going to see tonight on King George on defense.
Dylan Shiflett was the man nearest the ball and passing complete. 2nd and 10 it is here. 3-man front now for King George. Ravello steps up. Now here comes the pressure, and it should be an offsides.
Yeah, it should be an offsides on Ravello. He came storming in there. Now you know what they're going to do. Now you can see basically what I see is that how King George is going to attack Culpeper when Culpeper's on offense. They're going to try to get as much pressure as they can on Sutherland and try to load up that box to stop Terrell, and that's exactly what they're doing. So we've got to find a way to get the receivers open.
2nd and 5. They go back to the run. This is Malachi Terrell. Bounces to the outside with the cut, and then the help comes up quickly for King George as Terrell was stopped at about the 43. They gave him 3. That'll bring up 3rd and 2. Clock running. We're approaching the midway point of this first quarter. Our current score at King George High School: Foxes 13, Blue Devils nothing. All right, here's a 3rd and 2 and a manageable 3rd and 2 for Culpeper.
Yeah, they got to pick this up, Mark. They don't want to be punting back to King George. They've got to get a drive, and somehow they got to pick up this first down.
Back to the 3-man front until Ravello steps up. Here comes Ravello. Here comes more pressure. Sutherland in trouble. Tries to get rid of it, and it's going to be an incomplete pass. That's all they could do to avoid the sack because the Foxes really brought the heat.
Yeah, they did, Mark, and that's what they're going to do. So now what's going on with the offensive front? What are they doing up front? What are the Foxes doing that Culpeper's offensive line cannot block? And right now, Culpeper offensive line has got to shorten those gaps a little bit between the linemen because King George is attacking as soon as the ball is snapped.
Steve, are they stunting, and is it confusing the Blue Devils?
Both. Stunting and use their physicality.
Okay. Uribe on to punt this one away. He's going to punt this one about the 30. High snap. He gets it down. Here's the kick. Won't be returned. This one takes a Blue Devil bounce. A very nice roll all the way down to the 15, inside the 15-yard line to the 14. So a great job by Uribe, and the worst field position King George has had so far tonight. They actually start on their side of midfield.
They do, and now, again, you can't let their offense, Culpeper is going to have to force a punt here and try to keep this game within their reach, because if they let King George get a big play here and score again, it's going to be, like I said, it's lights out, boys and girls.
Steve, I think Uribe just connected on a 56-yard punt with that roll, which was fortuitous for the Blue Devils. All right, so from the 14 goes King George. Zach Ferguson handing off Ailey, and a nice tackle up front before he can get into that secondary. That was made by Culpeper's Larry Williams, number 3. Have we called the defensive starters yet?
Yeah, I said up front, I haven't done the linebackers, you know, which are, I can't see their numbers right now. You got 3, 4.
Larry Williams, 4 Kabidi.
Yep.
By Lou Kabidi. Now you're looking at some of the secondary players. They're going to be really busy tonight.
Yep. You're going to have Alex Lowe, Cole Plaster.
Now from the 19, 2nd down and 5. Ferguson, handoff. Gabe Ailey changed direction. He sort of bounced off that pack, switched direction. And do we have a penalty flag in?
Yeah, it's going to be a legal shift against King George.
He's shy of the 25-yard line. He needed to get to the 24 for a first down, but you think there's a 5-yard penalty going to be assessed against King George?
They picked it up.
Okay. So now from the 24, are they going to measure this? Yeah, it's that close. Nope, and it's a first down. All right, now from the 24-yard line, 1st and 10 Foxes. Zach Ferguson going to keep it this time. His first carry of the night. That's a pretty good one. He got across the 30-yard line to about the 32. Making the solo tackle was Jose Jimenez for Culpeper. Here he is, number 70. Two-way starter. Number 74 in there, as you mentioned.
We have Sean Updike's number 70, Mark.
70?
Yeah, who made the tackle.
Well, my mistake.
Yeah.
Sean Updike. 74 on that line is Jaden Johnson. Blue Devils now show pressure. Ferguson throws it quickly. Got a receiver near side. Breaks a tackle 40-45 midfield. Oh my gosh, he may go all the way, and if he does, this is going to be Mackay White's second touchdown of the game.
It's going to come back, Mark. It's going to be.
It would have been from what, 76 yards?
Yep, it was legal procedure. I guarantee it's coming back. Someone started quicker than when the ball was snapped. The offensive player that was in motion was going forward before the ball was snapped. That's a legal procedure, and it's going to bring it back. But again, that just shows you the weapons that King George had. Yep, false start.
The explosive capability of these two receivers just to light it up quickly.
Yeah, and all you have to do is that was just a little short pass out to the sideline to number 4, and he doesn't look like he's running fast, but he's got big strides, and Culpeper can't catch him. And they know, King George knows that on the outside they've got the advantage. Culpeper, I don't think there's anybody in Culpeper's lineup who can stay with any of them, with both of them. So either you play a deep safety, but then they're going to try to get you over the top. So we'll
all
see.
right, they push it back to the 19-yard line with the penalty, and that'll make it second down and about 12. Now why are they going this way, out to the 26?
Yeah, it should. That's when the original line of scrimmage, when they threw the ball. I don't understand why they had to.
Well, I thought the line of scrimmage was 24. It would have marked it back to the 19, but instead it's at the 26. So go figure. They fake it to Ailey. This is Ferguson. He's got first down yardage and more as he approaches midfield before number 56, Quentin Butler, can chase him down for the tackle.
Yeah, and Quentin was hustling from his defensive line position, but that's what they're going to do against Culpeper. If Culpeper tries to double down on their outside receivers, they're going to use Ailey and Ferguson for running the ball.
First down, Foxes now from the 49-yard line. Clock running at 3:20 to play here in the first quarter. Our score 13-0 in favor of King George. Zach Ferguson, the quarterback in the gun. Gabe Ailey alongside him. Comes out of the backfield. Ferguson steps up, throws way downfield, going up for it! And not able to make the catch. It looked like he was going to bring it in double coverage. That was intended for Chance Wiggins. And Steve, I thought he was going to bring it in.
I did too. I thought he was going to bring it, but when he came down, he hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I thought he caught it too. Wait a minute, the official was saying he did catch it, and the other officials say no, incomplete.
All right, well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints at 317-1473.
And Mark, you know there's some scouts in this audience looking at those two right now, and they got to be, completely amazed at what they're seeing here. Though UVA and Tech have already both offered both wide receivers.
Yeah, it's easy to see why they would be impressed with them. Ferguson rolls to his right, now flips it over here to Gabe Ailey. Ailey breaks a tackle, makes a move, breaks another tackle. Going to be chased from behind. He's just rolling still, and they finally tackle him, and he loses his helmet down near the 20-yard line, and he just was running for daylight.
He's a shifty runner, Mark. He's very crafty. He doesn't look all that imposing and all that big, but he can run. And he was just so shifty right there, nobody could catch him.
So 25-11, 36 yards on the play by Gabe Ailey. Just took a little dump pass from Zach Ferguson. Must have been pretty good coverage against the big receivers, since Ferguson had to check them off and go short to Ailey.
Culpeper was getting good pressure on the quarterback. That's what they got to do.
Now from the 25 at Culpeper. Got a different running back in there. And let's check his number. It looks like it's number 25.
But I think it's coming back. It's going to be a hold, I think, on King George here.
Jamari Cox was the ball carrier, his first carry of the night.
We'll see what the call is here. It's going to be a hold against King George.
Here it comes, holding.
So that's going to bring a big gainer right back.
Well, you look at this first quarter, Steve, 13-0 King George. I mean, obviously they've taken advantage of great field position, but on this drive they started from their own 14, and they've moved it down to the Culpeper 25, and we're looking for more until that penalty. So here it is, 1st and 20, I believe, as Zach Ferguson's got time over the middle, got a receiver, breaks the tackle, and just shy of that end zone is Chance Wiggins. Well, again, the receiver's really going to work tonight for King George, and we knew it was going to happen.
Mark, you see how he glides?
Yeah.
He's like gliding. Doesn't even look like he's expending any effort. And the ball, and give credit to Ferguson, the ball's right there on the spot. And that's what I said they're going to do. They're just going to roll him out and throw it up to the receivers.
Have the ball now at the 3-yard line. 1st and goal for the Foxes. Final 2 minutes ticking off here in the first quarter at King George High School. Ferguson, couple backs back there. That's going to be Gabe Ailey and Jamari Cox. Ailey, the ball carrier. He's in from 3 yards out. Touchdown, King George. That'll make it 19-0 with 1:43 to play here in this first quarter.
Now they're going to try for the point after. They're going to go for 2 here.
I think you go for 2 here, but let's see what they're going to do. It looks like Ravello is on.
Yeah.
Lipinski is on. That would mean the point after. And, Steve, you were thinking about it, too, because they missed the last point after. Right. But the way they're rolling, I don't think they are too worried about the 2-point conversion.
No, and then, if they get up any more, they're getting into, the Virginia High School in the second half. You're up by 35 points and running clock.
Here comes the pressure, and I think we may have had the lineman for the Blue Devils jump. He came across that line of scrimmage too soon. And I'm thinking it was William Holland. Let's see what the call here is.
If it's offside, the Blue Devils, the point, the King George will.
Don't they just move it closer?
Yep.
All right. So
half
now
the distance.
Yeah. So a little shorter kick here for Max Lipinski coming up. Again, Kyle Ravello, linebacker, tight end, and placeholder for King George will do the honors. Here's the snap. Here comes the pressure. They don't get it this time. The kick is up and good. All right, our score, 20-0. Foxes with 1:43 to play here in the first quarter at King George High School. Well, we've been live several broadcasts this year. We aren't tonight, but we will be again next week. And our live sponsor is Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. So Max Lipinski, already the leg getting a workout here early in the game, has teed it up, or will tee it up, and kick off to the Blue Devils. And Steve, they're in a hole already, and it's early.
It is, Mark, and it's a 20-point hole. And like I said, King George is for real. I mean, now you see why they're ranked in one of the top 5 in their division in the state. They've got a good football program, though. You got to think Lafayette was giving them, they're tied against Lafayette 12-12 before a thunderstorm hit, and they have made that game up. So
when we saw King George in the spring, and they defeated Eastern View, that went on to win the district and Region 4B title, their quarterback was Charles Mutter. And here's the kickoff. We'll get back to Mutter here in a second. They're going to have to get a handle on it and pounce on it. That's Jakari Edwards. As a little bit of misplay there, but didn't turn it over. The Blue Devils go on offense here in just a moment. Charles Mutter, I think you said, is down at
Emory and Henry.
Emory and Henry, down in Abington.
Yep, and you know who recruited him? Was the old coach from Bealton Liberty, Buzzo.
Tom Buzzo?
Yep, he's the defensive coordinator down there at Emory, and see Mutter can play defensive back too. But you got to look now. Culpeper is in a deep hole, Mark, and they've got to figure out how to, stop this, juggernaut that's called King George here, and they've got to be able. I think they got to go to a short passing game, keep those linebackers guessing, and keeping them from blitzing in there and disrupting Bennett Sutherland. So what's going to happen here is that I think you got to go to a short passing game. See what they do.
King George starts out with a 3-man front, and they keep it that way as Bennett Sutherland throws. This one's caught at the 20-yard line 4-yard pickup. The receiver was number 14, Cole Plaster. How's he doing this year? Well, Plaster, we have 2 catches against Caroline last week, 21 yards. He leads the team with coming in with 13 catches for 161. Now he has 14 on the season. Pick up a 5 to the 21. It's 2nd and 5. Approaching the 1-minute mark here in this first quarter. It's been all King George, 20-0. Bennett Southern going down the line of scrimmage there. Instructions to his offensive lineman. 3-man front again for King George. 2nd down. Malachi Terrell looking for some running room, and he does find a little bit. Got behind the line and across the 25 and should have a first down.
You know, Mark, you know, kudos. I mean, Eastern View has pretty much owned the Battlefield District for the last, decade pretty much. Now King George has come on. King George emulated and saw what Coach Hatfield and developed his program. Coach Lunsford's doing the same thing, and now Coach Lunsford's got the team. And again, of course, Coach Hatfield went on to coach it and took the job at Battlefield. But right now, you're seeing the class, cream of the crop of the Battlefield District in King George.
I believe you're right. Final 20 seconds counting down. This may be the last play of the first quarter. Bennett Sutherland will hand off to Malachi Terrell, and he's slung down in the backfield by King George's number 54. And that was Xavier Harrison.
And, Mark, that's just too easy right there. That's just too easy. They've got to figure out as an offensive line to stop that blitzing. And, again, I'd say cut down on your gaps between each other to prevent that. And then you've got to use some kind of play action and maybe fake it to Terrell and let him go out on a bubble screen or line him up as an H-back. But you've got to – they're lining up the box. As you can see right now, they're lining that box up ready to stuff Terrell and not let him run loose. And right now, King George is on the gas pedal when they're just they're cruising right now.
They're rolling. Well, first quarter's in the books. 20-0 King George. We'll take a break and come back for the second quarter right after this.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. More than just a respected funeral home, Pound & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Pound & Sons, 825-3530.
Welcome back to our broadcast. King George High School is the place tonight. Blue Devils and Foxes going at it as we start the second quarter. Culpeper trails 20-0. They'll have it 2nd and 12 from its 24. I'm Mark O'Connell, Steve Peacock, Johnny Krawchuk with you tonight on behalf of the Culpeper Media Network. And let's see if the second quarter treats the Blue Devils better than that first one. We've got movement up front coming across that line there is King George. Going to cost them 5 yards, I believe.
And that's one way to get some yardage. Use that hard count and use that against King George and get 5 yards on your first down. Now you got 2nd and 5.
All right, the center for Culpeper, Steve, number 72, Jose Jimenez. 5'10", 300. He's a senior. Here's the snap. Malachi Terrell, the ball carrier. He's got some running room. Straight ahead he goes. And he's still fighting for yardage. They finally tackle him at the King George 40-yard line. That's a pickup of 31 yards by Malachi Terrell, the longest play of the night from scrimmage for the Blue Devils.
And, Mark, they got to ride that horse right there. That's the play. It opened up fine. They got good blocking up front. And Terrell, once he gets going, like I've said, he's a hard man to break down. It's just to get him started, though, that's where the weakness is. But, again, good run there by Malachi.
Long snap count again by Bennett Southern, trying to draw King George off. Here comes Southern again with some instructions to his linemen, as Blue Devils now have it best field position of the night at the King George 40. Bennett Sutherland, who fakes it to Terrell. He's got a receiver on the slant. And this is Alex Lowe, I believe, number 16. It is Alex Lowe. And so now back-to-back big plays for the Blue Devils gives them a little bit of life and a little bit of hope that they can find that opposing end zone.
Right. They just had to relax a little bit, not, make mistake after mistake. But that was a good play, and that's going to loosen up the running game for Terrell.
Down to the 21-yard line. 1st and 10, Blue Devils. Again, a long snap count. Bennett Sutherland back there in the gun. Malachi Terrell to his left. 3 receivers to the left. They go to Malachi Terrell. He was looking for a block, didn't really get one, and King George was all over it at the 20-yard line. So they limited Terrell to a 1-yard gain. Brings up 2nd and 9. Opening minutes here of this second quarter. It's been all King George so far. This is really the only possession in which Culpeper has put together a drive. Steve.
Right, it is. And I think they got to go back to the pass, Mark. That's the only way they're going to do it, to give Terrell some freedom to run.
2nd and 9. They fake it to Terrell. They throw it. This one's caught. Jakari Edwards spinning his way down near the 5-yard line. That'll be a 1st and goal now for the Blue Devils. Steve, you might want to get those vocal cords warmed up
ready,
because they're really knocking on the door here, and Culpeper in an excellent position to get its first points of the night coming up soon.
Mark, I really liked how Sutherland stood in there, hung in there on the pressure. And he's starting to come into his own as he's a sophomore, but he hung in there and made a good pass, and now you got Culpeper knocking on the door, and that might give them some momentum and give them some, say, hey, we can play against this team.
1st and goal now from the 5-yard line. Will it be Terrell? No. They throw it, slant, and it is. Number 16, Alex Lowe on the slant. Touchdown, Culpeper.
Touchdown, Blue Devils. Sutherland to Alex Lowe from 3 yards out. Touchdown, Blue Devils now. But
Blue Devils on the scoreboard for the first time here tonight. Now it's 20-6 with 9:39 to play, and R.J. Uribe will likely go for the point after, just as soon as they line up in the conventional formation. Cole Plaster, the holder. Uribe's kick is up and good. 20-7 our score. Steve, let's recap that drive. Culpeper opened the second quarter on its own 24-yard line. The big plays, obviously Malachi Terrell, and then the pass play was Jakari Edwards.
Yep.
And then they capped it with the touchdown pass to Alex Lowe. That's got to be a huge psychological boost for Culpeper. I mean, they really needed it, to say the least.
They did, Mark, and you're exactly right. That was a big confidence booster for the Blue Devils, because it looked like this game was going to get out of hand early. And the Blue Devils did their part coming back, but they put together a good little short passing game, and along with the run. That's what I mean, being balanced against King George, to keep that defensive front from King George and blitzing all the time, and or trying to stop the run with Terrell. You got to give credit to Bennett Sutherland, and he led the team down to pay dirt. So now Culpeper's only trailing 20-7.
And you said he hung in there on a play where he was being pressured.
Yep.
Which was a huge play to keep the drive going. R.J. Uribe has teed it up. Blue Devils now trail 20-7. 9:39 to play. Second quarter action here at King George. I mentioned the Foxes of the defending Battlefield and Region 4B champions from this past spring. Uribe's kick is short. It's high. It's taken at the 25-yard line. Coming near side is a return man across the 40, and then tackled by Cole Plaster. The return man was Elijah Sherfield.
And now see if Culpeper can force King George to a 3-and-out and causing a punt. If they can do that, Mark, and then get the ball back and do a similar drive what they just did, put points on the board, we got a whole different ball game.
And again, King George has excellent field position. Looks like they'll start it from their own 42 once we get a football on the field. You got to have a football if you're going to play,
That's
right?
That's true. I was going to ask you, when was the last time Culpeper played King George prior to tonight?
Well, according to Devin Payne, it was in 2012.
You're right. You're right.
And I didn't know that until I read Devin's article, because I thought that they played last spring, but they didn't,
They didn't. No.
All right, from the 41, excellent field position. Only once has King George had bad field position tonight. They fake it, they throw over the middle, they got a receiver. This is Kyle Ravello, the tight end. What a nice play by Ferguson, because I think he really sold that pump fake.
And we got a flag on the play. Did it come afterwards or did it come before? We'll see what the call is here.
You know, they're going to sort it out, of course. The man in the white hat always tells us all about it after they get it figured out.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's going against King George.
As they get ready to assess this one, we'll tell you that last week we filmed the Eastern View Chancellor game, and while they were playing, Culpeper was playing Caroline, and the Blue Devils won 22-0. Caroline is 0-4, and they're playing host to Eastern View tonight. Culpeper came into tonight's game with an overall record of 3-2 and 1-1 in the district. And you're right, Steve. So this penalty is against King George, and that'll move the ball back to the Culpeper 49. Take away some of that big gain by tight end Kyle Ravello.
There was a blow to the helmet, in the face, and that's a personal foul, and that's what was called on.
All right, clock stop, 9:25 to play, second quarter. King George has it, 1st and 10 from the Culpeper 49. Zach Ferguson fakes it to Ailey and then keeps it. And Kabidi and company, including Quentin Butler and number 56, that is Quentin Butler, combined for the tackle at the Culpeper 45. He picked up just 4 yards on the play, makes it 2nd and 6.
And Mark, you were talking about when the last time Culpeper played. See, last year or in the spring, Culpeper was in the Northwestern District. That's why they didn't play. This is Culpeper's first time back in the Battlefield District in years.
Mm-hmm. So 2nd down and 5. Ailey, the ball carrier, gets into the secondary and inside the 25-yard line before the Blue Devils, Cole Plaster and Devin Polari combined for the tackle. So King George driving once again, Steve.
And Mark, it would have gone all the way for touchdown if the official hadn't he actually helped Culpeper because he got in the way of Ailey and kind of almost knocked him down. So that slowed him up and allowed the Blue Devils to come in the pursuit to pick in from the tackling from the pursuit.
Ailey picked up 24 yards and a 1st down for King George. Now they have it at the Culpeper 21. Ferguson going to throw near side. He's got the receiver, Mackay White, and the Blue Devils have him. And in on the tackle is Larry Williams, number 3 for Culpeper.
Now we'll see if Culpeper can do a goal line stand here. King George is deep in his own red zone, in the Blue Devil red zone. So we'll see what Culpeper can do here.
Looks like it's at the 13, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's 2nd down and 2.
2nd down and 2.
From the 13, Zach Ferguson back there in the gun. He's got 2 receivers, both sides. He fakes it to Ailey. There goes Ferguson. He keeps it. Ferguson fighting for more yardage inside the 5-yard line down to about the 3. And that was a pickup of 9 yards on the play.
He's a tough runner, that quarterback, Mark.
He really is. How would you compare Ferguson and his predecessor, Charles Mutter? Where were their strengths, and who would have had the advantage, you think?
Mutter had the advantage as far as the passing game. He had the better arm and threw for almost 2,000 yards, over 2,000 yards. But Ferguson is more of a dual threat.
1st and goal now from the 4. Here's Ferguson. Here comes the pressure, and he throws it, gets rid of it, batted down rather. Incomplete. Second and goal coming up. Well, you know, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons at 825-3530.
And, Mark, that was a good play by the Blue Devils defense. They were trying to set up a screen, and Blue Devils were having nothing of it. And, again, they were coming right after Ferguson, and he couldn't connect.
Second down and goal from the 3-yard line. Ferguson's got Gabe Ailey back there. Ferguson, here comes the pressure. Gets away from it. Throws in the end zone. Wide open. Kyle Ravello. Touchdown, King George. And so they answer 26-7 now in favor of the Foxes. 6:46 to play here in the second quarter.
Mark, I wish they had replay in high school football because I believe Ravello's back foot was standing on that white line on the out of bounds. And, you know, I'm just saying they could have ruled no catch, caught it out of bounds, but they gave it to him.
Well, now Ravello with the touchdown catch will hold for the point after as place kicker Max Lipinski comes on. His kick up and good. Our score, 27-7, 6:46 to play. King George High School and the Foxes well out in front at 27-7.
And Mark, you know, we talk about this Battlefield District and how the changing of the guard with, you know, I still think that Eastern View should not have lost last week, but penalties and a big play overcame them, allowed Chancellor to sneak a win past them. And again, like I said, Eastern View was the top dog for all these years in the Battlefield District. Cortland is 0-4, and they're playing Chancellor tonight. And they're playing Chancellor and Cortland, I think, are playing tonight. Or is it Chancellor and Spotsy? I'm not real sure. But, again, Caroline's playing Eastern View, and Caroline hasn't won a district game in 2 years.
They're really struggling this year.
Yep.
Well, how about King George and how they've outscored their opponents? What is it like? I had that written down. Looking for my notes, Steve. I know they won. We've got some impressive numbers already this year.
Yep. But again, when you look at the rest of the district, and with Culpeper and Eastern View, I mean, right now, if King George wins this, they're going to be in the big driver's seat.
Lipinski's kick be fielded inside the 5-yard line. This is Jakari Edwards looking for some running room. Doesn't find much. They stand him up, push him back, and tackle him near the 15-yard line. Well, you know, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community at 547-3673. All right, Culpeper, again, less than average field position. Start things here from its own 15, or we'll call it the 16. 6:39 to play here in the second quarter. Blue Devils trail 27-7. Bennett Sutherland and his offensive teammates back onto the field. They keep it on the ground. Malachi Terrell, the ball carrier. Straight ahead he goes, shy of the 20-yard line. He'll pick up about 3. Going to bring up second down and 7.
Again, Culpeper's got to respond here offensively, just like they did the last series, and methodically moving it down the field. They can do that, get some couple big plays, but use the passing game to set up that run. And it's just been, like I said, it's been tough go for Culpeper against this stout King George defense, but they proved themselves they can move it on them.
You know, you were asking me about, tribute time. When was the last time these two teams met? And I was saying thanks to Devin's article, I knew it was 2012. This is Jake Roman, his first carry of the night. Tried to get to the outside, nothing doing. They drop him at the line of scrimmage, no gain. It's going to bring up 3rd and 7. Well, he played in 2012.
Right.
And King George won 39-0. I don't remember where that one was played. I wonder if we covered that one.
I
It's
don't
been
know.
9 years now.
Yeah.
Hard to say, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's hard to say.
Right.
I can't remember.
All right. Well, you're not expected to. Here, Fox is showing pressure. Now Bennett Sutherland looks over a little instruction. Now delivers some himself. as the Blue Devils have 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Malachi Terrell in the backfield, and he gets the carry. And he doesn't have too much room to work with. He got across the 20, out to the 21. That is it. That's going to bring up 4th and 5, and we'll see the punt team and R.J. Uribe.
And Mark, again, I'd be sitting there saying, you got to throw the ball to the wind now. You're down 27-7 and running right up against a defense that's stacking the box. I mean, I think you got to change it up a little bit offensively and just go for it.
Well, and when Culpeper got its first points, that was a big bonus for them.
Right.
But then King George answered.
Yeah, you're right.
So they really didn't gain anything for any length of time. Now they punt this one away. This is a short kick, but another good roll for the Blue Devils, and they'll down it at the King George 44-yard line. Take a timeout on the field. We'll tell you that our timeout sponsor this year is CFC Farm and Home Center. The service, knowledge, and products you need for your farm, home, pets, livestock, and equine since 1932. And we mentioned that are they going to be kicking this one over, Steve?
I don't know.
It sort of looks like it, doesn't it? I didn't see a penalty flag down. But if you look at the official back here,
yeah, I mean,
something's brewing.
They've already punted the ball. Why they punt it again? They have to be see with the officials. False start.
Oh, I say so against Culpeper. Then King George wants them to re-kick it.
Yeah.
They'll push them back 5 yards. They'd like to get a return here, and why wouldn't you? But look who they've got back here to return this.
Right. They've got
Wiggins and team captain Gary Lane, number 1. All right, so.
And what they got to be careful too is King George might dialing up the block here too.
Uribe stands inside his 5-yard line awaiting the snap, and it's a good one. Protection holds. Here's his kick, short. This is going to be fielded on a one-hopper at the 45-yard line. And bringing it back is Gary Lane. That's what they wanted, Steve. They wanted to set up that return and put their athletes in action.
And see, Uribe punted with a low-line driver, so that's going to be a perfect punt to run back because the punt team wasn't down there fast enough when it doesn't give them time, to cover it.
Right, and not only that, when we talk about a football, you don't know how it's going to bounce. That one bounced favorably for King George, one hop.
Yep.
A one-hopper into the awaiting hands of Gary Lane. And Lane gives his teammates excellent field position at the Culpeper 28-yard line.
One thing I've seen going away from high school football is the huddle.
Here's Ferguson, looks right, then throws left. This one incomplete. Who took off without looking the ball in? Mekhi White, because he was looking to do some damage out there.
He was that.
Yeah.
He was caught peeping.
Yeah, Mekhi White has the game's first touchdown. Well, how's he done so far this year? Well, last week against in their game against James Monroe, he had 12 catches, and his teammate Wiggins had 13. And together they had over 400 receiving yards.
Wow.
And Wiggins had 2 touchdowns, and White, well, he only had 4.
Only.
Here's Ferguson again. Good protection. Throws. Receiver who just redeemed himself. Mekhi White. He sure did from 28 yards out. His second touchdown of the night. We were just talking about how good he and his teammate Chance Wiggins are. They just showed you again.
Well, Mark, he had no pressure on him. He just threw it down there on the rope, and Mekhi White is so tall. I mean, Cole Plester doesn't have a chance. He could be right there on him like glue, but you can't jump with him. And he high-pointed the ball perfect and right in there for a touchdown.
Well, Steve, if it's okay with you, I'm going to give us credit for saying before the game started that the keys, as we pointed out, Blue Devil defensive backs were going to be tested. You know about the quality and skill of those receivers, and not just that they have good hands, but their height and their athleticism.
Yeah.
It's hard to match up against.
Right, you're playing against college-sized receivers right now, and Ferguson doesn't have to be the most accurate thrower. Just throw it up there, and they're going to go get it. Now look at the score now. They're up 34-7.
Well, both these receivers, Mekhi White and Chance Wiggins, as you pointed out, they just sort of make it look easy, don't they? And when they run, it doesn't even look like they're moving fast, but they are.
They are. It's like one's a glider and the other one runs like a gazelle. And it's just like.
What do they say? Step aside and watch me glide.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And glide they do.
They do.
Yeah, 34-7.
And then you mix in with Ailey, who's quick and run it hard, and Ferguson, who can run it.
Well,
I mean, they're
how about
and
Ravello?
from tight end?
Yeah, he's got a touchdown tonight.
They've got weapons all over the field, but defensively, Culpeper has got us. They scored 7 against them. They got to get back to that series and how they do that, mixing up the run and the pass.
Well, and you mentioned weapons, and that's exactly what head coach James Ford told Devin Payne. He said, when we look at King George, our concern is all the weapons they have.
Yep.
And you got to account for them all, and it's hard. That's a tough task for a team to do.
Right.
No wonder they're so highly regarded at this point. This one's getting past Terrell. He's going to pick it up inside the 5-yard line. Now across the 10. Gang tackling by the Foxes. And they're going to stop him with forward progress, I think, at the 10-yard line.
Yep.
Well, this broadcast is brought to you in part by Cash. You want to talk about from shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints at 317-1473. And Copperfish and Time Market, from wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. All right, Steve, Blue Devils have had poor field position on every possession tonight except one.
Yep.
And now they're going to start, again, with that as the theme at their own 10. They fake it to Terrell. They throw it over to the middle or on the slant, rather. And they're going to say incomplete. This one was intended for Alex Lowe.
And Mario, looks like a JV team going against a good varsity team out here right now. And I'm just saying, not trying to put Culpeper down or anything. It's just that the King George is that good. Mm-hmm. And they are going to be, so far what I've seen of the district, I don't think any team's going to touch them.
Well, what they were doing in that first quarter defensively, they would show a 3-man front, then they would fill up that box as you pack the box, and they were giving them different looks, and they've sort of gotten away from that some, but it hasn't hurt them because here on this play, excellent interior penetration, and they dropped Malachi Terrell for a loss, and this puts them in a dangerous situation for the Blue Devils.
And see, the offensive line is not doing a good job up front. They were on that series, they scored, but right now they're just having a tough time with the quickness of King George, especially up front.
Well, and we said, another thing we said is, as we broke down the game, the matchup, is that the offensive line has to play well for Malachi Terrell and the offense to have a chance tonight. And they've played well against every team, and Malachi Terrell's had a lot of success except in that game against Eastern View.
Yep.
And now you said, here's a timeout, that in King George, they're getting another sort of taste of that, where it's hard to find any running room. Well, we've got a timeout on the field, and I'll tell you that our timeout sponsor is CFC Farm and Home Center, the service, knowledge, and products you need for your farm, home, pets, livestock, and equine since 1932. That's CFC Farm and Home Center. Well, who's the head coach of King George? Steve, a fellow by the name of Vern Lunsford. How do you say that name and not think of Vern Lundquist, too?
I know.
He was a great play-by-play guy, Vern Lundquist, and I always think of him as one of the premier college football announcers. And I think he passed away a few years ago, didn't he?
No,
Vern Lundquist?
No, he's.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think he's passed away. I think he's retired, but I think he's got. I think he's in a nursing home. I think he might have Alzheimer's.
I'll Google the name when we get a chance. Vern Lundquist. Always enjoyed. He did a lot of the Southeastern Conference games, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
for
Vern
CBS.
Right, for CBS. Vern Lunsford is the head coach for King George. Vern Lundquist, American broadcaster. Get to that in just a second. You may be right. Here's the throw, incomplete. Well behind the intended receiver out there,
And
Alex Lowe.
that was a miscommunication right there because Alex was throwing it to one spot and the receivers overran it. And lucky that wasn't intercepted.
Well,
now
Lundquist inducted to the Hall of Fame. You know what? Born in July 17, 1940 in Duluth, Minnesota.
So he's still,
And you're right, he's still living. He is 81 years of age right now.
Now, look, you got Culpeper, you got Uribe back on the end zone.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. This puts him in a really tough spot. And not only that, with this kick, looks like it's going to be fielded and returned here. Nope, I'm wrong. This one took a bounce, and this time it bounced in the opposite direction. And so not getting that good Blue Devil roll they've had earlier. And now you look at King George in outstanding field position with an opportunity to pad their lead here. Plenty of time remaining in this second quarter. 2:47 to play. King George will have it. It looks like at about the Culpeper 25. No, make it to 30.
And Culpeper's got, I know they don't want to give up the score. 2 minutes here, 2:47 here to go in the first half. Because if King George goes up, that means the start of the second half is a running clock. They'll be up by 35 points.
We hadn't been in that situation this year,
No,
have we?
We have not.
All right, from the 30 go the Foxes. Here come the Blue Devils pressuring. Gabe Ailey looking for his running room left tackle off that left side. And I think the delay, he waited for it to open, and it did. He picked up good yardage inside the 20. New set of downs for King George here.
And Mark, he runs very well. Like you said, he really picks up his blocks. He runs smart, and he's quick, and he's hard to bring down, but he really finds the hole.
13 yards on the pickup. King George has it 1st and 10 now from the Culpeper 17. Ferguson, the quarterback. That's Ailey beside him. Ferguson going to throw to the end zone. Going up for it, and again making it look easy. And this is Chance Wiggins. So Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Wiggins and Mr. White both have 2 touchdown catches so far. Ravello has 1. That's 5. Am I missing anything?
No, I mean, it's just
Ferguson has a touchdown run, right?
Yep.
So you've got 2 touchdown receptions by Wiggins and 2 by White. 1 by Ravello, and I think, what is it, the touchdown run by Ferguson? For our score, makes it 40-7 with 2:14 to play, and Max Lipinski's point after. Up and good. Now 41-7 in favor of King George with 2:14 left in this first half.
Mark, and it's just right now, Culpeper just doesn't have any defense for those 2 wide receivers. They are so talented and so good. And again, everyone says, well, the quarterback's doing great too, and they're nothing to take away anything from Ferguson, but he is just able to throw it up there knowing that those 2 guys are going to have a height advantage on any of the defensive backs they're likely to see in district play.
And I think Ferguson does a good job with his reads, don't you?
He does.
And, they've done his offensive line, lineman teammates have done a good job of protecting him. But Ferguson, he's quick and resourceful.
Yeah, he is. And then what's happening here, too, is that when you just got to go back to Lafayette. They're holding 12-12 to the thunderstorm, came, and it was 12-12 at the start of the third quarter. So Lafayette is a Division III. They've dropped down to Division III. And, Culpeper is going to have a tough road here into Division III playoffs because you got Hopewell, Phoebus, Lake Taylor.
Taylor dropped.
Lafayette.
Phoebus has been good. Hopewell has won titles. I've seen them win. This one into the end zone for the touchback. Blue Devils will start from their own 25-yard line. 2:14 remaining here in this second quarter, and it's been virtually all King George tonight. We talked coming in about how good these receivers are. If you've been watching it, I think the case is open and shut that they are awfully good.
Well, you got Albemarle's now a Division IV team. They're playing good. They've already taken down the perennial power of Louisa, but they say the team to watch in the Division IV is going to be coached by old ex-Culpeper coach Ken Wakefield, and that's Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry of Ashland.
They went to the state finals in the playoffs last year and last spring, and now they're dropped down to 4 and they're loaded. So, it's setting up a playoff round right here is in the region. King George against Patrick Henry. That's going to be a good one to watch if everything plays out like it's supposed to.
And I certainly have all the respect in the world for King George, but you'd have to pull for Ken Wakefield at PH.
Yeah.
Of course, when you say Patrick Henry, you have to give the geographical designation. Why?
Why? Because Patrick Henry of Ashland, because there's more How many 3 other schools are Patrick Henry?
I can think of 3. So we have PH of Ashland
Patrick Henry, Glade Spring.
and Patrick Henry of Roanoke.
Right, yep.
2 of the 3 are the Patriots.
Yep, that's true.
And Glade Spring, isn't that where Mike Williams' son finished his high school playing days? At
But is
Patrick
there
Henry?
another Patriot team in the state?
Well, you mentioned Albemarle.
Albemarle, that's right.
They're the
Patriots. Yep.
Parkview Sterling.
Yep.
If they still have a team, they were thinking about dropping
Yeah,
theirs.
they got a team this year.
Yeah, Parkview Sterling, the Patriots. You mentioned Albemarle, and Orange is playing Albemarle tonight. Malachi Terrell, the ball carrier, not much doing here. As maybe a couple of yards, clock we're running. We're approaching the 2-minute mark here in the second quarter. 41-7 Foxes over Blue Devils. So Albemarle playing Orange tonight. Do you have any feelings about that game? How that might play out?
I think I think Orange can get him if Poirier can get untracked and they can get some offensive production out of those receivers. I think they can beat Albemarle.
King George coming with pressure, incomplete. And a penalty flag comes in late. Well, it looks like I thought the intended receiver was that first one, but it was actually a little deeper, was Colby Charlton. He was closest to the ball.
Yep.
What did you see in terms of the penalty?
21. It looks to be interference, pass interference. See what the call is. Is it going to be offense or is it going to be defense? Looks like it's going to be against Culpeper.
Do you think so?
We'll see.
Pass interference.
Oh,
Nope.
no, King George. All right. So these officials walk it back to, they look like, they're walking it back, and it's like going against Culpeper, and then they turn around and they walk
It sort of takes them a little bit of time to
Yeah.
sort it all out,
Yeah.
walk it off. Up to the 32. And a new set of downs for Culpeper. And a minute 36 to play here in this first half.
And Mark, we got number 63, Dean Tucker, back in and playing offensive line for Culpeper.
Tucker Dean,
Yep. Yeah, Tucker Dean.
6 feet 240, junior. Bennett Sutherland, Malachi Terrell in the backfield. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Terrell, the ball carrier. Got behind the line, ball came loose, whistle had blown. Let's check the spot because they're going to. I don't think they're going to mark it there. No, it was after the whistle. It's closer to that 40-yard line. All right, spot's going to be the 41. Brings up 2nd and 6. Clock running, a minute 10 to play. Second quarter. Bennett Sutherland is your quarterback. They go back to that 3 receiver set to the right and 1 top of your screen. Under a minute to play. Here's Bennett Sutherland. Will the protection hold up? It does. He throws. This one's picked off. And on the return here is number 15 for King George, and that is Elijah Sherfield, defensive back.
And Mark, that shouldn't have been an interception. Let me tell you why. Sutherland had all the time. He wasn't being pressured, and he just, I just think he threw it in the wrong position, and either that or the receiver overran it. But Sutherland had plenty of time to throw it, and that was a mistake by him. And now it's going to give the ball back to King George, but it looks like they say they stepped out of bounds up there at the.
Still have great field position as King George at the Culpeper 44. 47 seconds before the intermission. Ferguson going to air it out. This one incomplete. I believe that was,
He trapped
bounced
it.
before. Trapped it. That was the word I was looking for. The receiver. Let's pick up his number, Steve. Did you pick that one up? Was it 13?
Number 13.
Okay. That would be Mauricio Blanco, the intended receiver. First time, there he is. First time we mentioned his name tonight. But you figure the way these starting receivers are playing, King George has the luxury of already going to its reserve.
Right. Well, that was a slot. He's been playing in the slot pretty much, and that's going to be timeout.
Official timeout.
What's the? They have to look like the officials got to get out their GPS to figure out where the ball's going to be on the field. And what's the call here?
Well, there really isn't one, is there?
No. Unless it's a clock issue.
Might have been, or maybe they just wanted to take a break. Well, they did adjust the clock, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because 40 seconds
Yeah.
to play.
The clock didn't run.
2nd and 10 here. Ferguson throwing near side, incomplete. Intended for Mackay White. We mentioned he's got 2 touchdown catches. His teammate, the other part of that receiver tandem, Chance Wiggins, has 2 touchdoan catches.
And Mark,
Ravello has 1.
This is the first time we've called number 21, Colby Charlton, but I guess they put him in because of his height, 6'2". Maybe he can stay with the bigger receivers.
Well, we've mentioned it really is difficult to match up, isn't it?
Yep.
We've got a 3rd and 10 here at the Culpeper 44 for King George. Ferguson stepping up, going to keep it. 45, picks up a block there. He will have first down yardage as he gets inside the 35-yard line, where Bailu Kabidi and combining with Colby Charlton for the tackle for Culpeper.
Yep. The clock stops for the movement of the chains, but
I think King George has probably called a timeout with 25.9 seconds to play.
yeah, they're going to try to tack on another score here, and you know what it's going to be. Either corner, either White or Wiggins is going to get the ball.
Mr. Wiggins.
Mr. Wiggins.
Mr. Wiggins. So
Don't squeeze my football.
So for people to pick up on that enunciation and inflection, they would have to be pretty close to our age.
Yes, they would. They have to know the old Charmin commercial.
Oh, no, I was thinking of, that was Mr. Whipple.
Oh, Mr. Whipple. Okay.
I'll tell you where I was coming from. Tim Conway,
Yeah,
Carol Burnett show.
Burnett.
Didn't he, when he played the dentist, didn't he have, it was his assistants like Miss Wiggins? Or
Yeah, Miss Wiggins.
Or what he had not maybe as a dentist, but he was a businessman or something.
Yeah.
And his secretary, maybe that was her name, Mrs. Wiggins.
Wiggins.
Yeah. So Mr. Whipple was, please don't
you're
squeeze
right,
the
it's
Charmin. Yeah. But, well,
As we digress.
yes. As we go back a few years.
We got to think of
Time's
something.
about 50.
Yeah.
All right. After the timeout, 25.9 seconds. Zach Ferguson going to throw again on the quick slant. This one caught. And this is the fellow we were talking about in that slot position, Mauricio Blanco. Touchdown Foxes.
And he just ran over the Culpeper
Yeah, he did.
defensive back. Didn't even, it slowed him up a little bit, but again, the defensive back, Culpeper, didn't wrap up. And now the touchdown again. And now it's 19 seconds ago, now a point after to make it could be 48-7.
Well, if you were putting together the yearbook, what would you say? Fun was had by all. Yeah. Well,
That's
not so
right.
much fun when you think about it that way. But
Yeah.
Kyle Ravello, the holder. Max Lipinski, the kicker. 47-7 our score late in this first half. Lipinski's kick is up and good. 48-7.
And so now Culpeper's going to get the ball to start the second half. And this game, like I said, has gotten out of hand now.
Well, we've been live several times this year, Steve. We aren't tonight, but we will be again next week. And who is our live sponsor? One and only, Able Heating and Air. Answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air at 718-75-56. So let's talk about that, because we haven't been in this position so far this season, but a continuously running clock because of the 35-point differential.
Right.
Is that what we're going to see in the second half?
Yep.
Well, and that means basically that we have an accelerated game.
Yep. In other words, incomplete passes, the clock doesn't stop. The only time the clock stops is team timeouts or official timeouts.
Yeah,
And
injuries.
penalties.
Right. Yeah.
So this is going to, and I think right now Culpeper is, they're just going to go into halftime here and just say, they know they got beat pretty bad in the first half, is they just want to try to eliminate the damage.
This one picked up by Terrell. And he does the best he can, hard running across the 25 out to about the 28. And that's where Culpeper will go on offense, trailing 48-7 with 12.6 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock here in this first half. So it's not pretty. What would you say, Steve, as a consolation of the Blue Devils if you're looking at this first half?
Well, they're being outclassed, especially at the wide receiver position, and the defense Culpeper just doesn't have any defense for the King George offense. And, they got some work to do, and they're going to have to realize it. And they just don't have the athletes that King George has.
Well, Bennett Sutherland back there in the gun. Take a knee and let this one run out.
Yeah, good play right there.
So the final seconds will tick off here at King George High School. And it's official. That's the end of the first half. With our score, Foxes 48, Blue Devils 7. Let's take a break for the intermission. Enjoy the halftime. And we'll come back for the third quarter when these two teams are ready. Keep it right here on the Culpeper Media Network because you're watching Blue Devils football.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. More than just a respected funeral home, Pound & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Pound & Sons, 825-3530.
Welcome back to our broadcast and to the third quarter kickoff as King George's Max Lipinski will be kicking off to the Blue Devils. And they trail 48-7 here as we start the third quarter. This is going to be a short kick fielded inside the 20-yard line. That's Jakari Edwards on the return. Got across the 25 to the 27. All right, Steve, we talked about would we have a continuously running clock here in the second half with that 35-plus point differential.
It shouldn't. They'll run as soon as it gets set. They'll run the clock. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's not running yet. Anyway, so Culpeper will start this
Here goes.
third quarter on offense from its own 27-yard line, and trailing by 41 points. They keep it on the ground. Malachi Terrell. Nice tackle made by number 13, Mauricio Blanco, who in that first half finished the King George's scoring, didn't he?
He sure did. And then, what Culpeper's got to do now, Mark, after we're talking to volunteer assistant Robbie Jenkins, we apologize, thought it was Mike Jenkins. I said Mike Jenkins, offensive coordinator in the first part of the broadcast. It's Robbie who is the volunteer assistant, and he was giving us some good insight on what needs to happen and what Culpeper's got to do.
Well, they want to try to take some positives from this game for sure. Here is Malachi Terrell delivering on one here early on in this third quarter. He's still on his feet. They finally bring him down inside the 15-yard line. Well, he got that opening over that left tackle side, and then he raced down the field, picked up great yardage. That's his second long run of the game. He came into the game with 899 yards.
Well, he's going to be over 1,000 because he had another big run in the first half.
Yeah, he did.
So this should put him right up there, over 101 yards, over the 1,000 yard. But he was also chased down there by Chance Wiggins from his safety spot, and he just, if it wasn't for him, Malachi would have been in for the touchdown.
Well, Jakari Edwards and Jacob Roman in the backfield along with or Dylan Shiflett, rather, in the backfield along with Bennett Sutherland. 1st and 10 now from the King George 14. Here come the Foxes. And they fake it. Sutherland has it. He's being pressured, and he's being sacked for a loss. Back to the 22-yard line. A loss of 8 yards. And making the tackle was Mackay White, the defensive back. And you're right about that clock, Steve. It is running.
Yep.
That means it's going to go quickly here in the second half. And for that to change, the Blue Devils would have to cut into the lead. and make it a 34-point differential to go back to the regular clock.
Well, I mean, they lost how many yards on that play? They lost 8.
8, yeah, sure did. Bennett Sutherland, that's Jakari Edwards, blocking for Malachi Terrell, but it didn't do any good because Kyle Ravello and company got into that backfield and dropped Terrell for a loss.
And they were blitzing, and see, the offensive line, like I said, they've got to watch that and kind of cut down on their splits a little bit, but they're letting those linebackers get in there with no, just let them come in, not even being hit. So that just puts a lot of pressure on Sutherland now, and now it's 3rd and 23.
Long way to go as the Blue Devils on back-to-back plays moved in reverse. So long 3rd and 23 from the 27. Bennett Sutherland flushed out of the pocket, 25-20. Pushed out of bounds shy of the 15-yard line. Well, the original line of scrimmage was a 14, so going to bring up 4th down. Well, obviously you go for it here.
Yeah, you go for it. The clock's still running. Doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And see, King George doesn't want them to score because they want to maintain the 35-yard.
35-point, right.
Looks like now they're going to try for a field goal.
All right, so the line of scrimmage is the 17. The hole would be at the 24, be a 34-yard field goal attempt coming up here momentarily from R.J. Uribe, and the holder is Cole Plaster. So they're going to spot it at the 24. This will be a 34-yard field goal attempt by freshman R.J. Uribe. High snap. Plaster gets it down. I believe they got a hand on it. They did. It was on line, but it fell short of the mark because I think King George was able to deflect that or at least slow it down. Someone got a hand on it.
Yep. He was able to knock it. So
I think without that deflection, I think he probably would have nailed that.
It would have been close. I mean, it would have been up there. It was kind of dying at the end. And
but think about it, Steve. Ordinarily, the clock would have stopped.
Yeah.
Instead, it's running, and we're
going to be out of here quick.
Yeah, we're going to be out of here quick, right? I don't even know if we can get our spots in on our sponsors. It's going to go so quickly.
I know.
I mean, we can try, right?
Yep.
I'll just have to
give it the old college try.
I'll have to speak in accelerated fashion, like they do for those disclaimers on those commercials. Yeah. All right, here's Ferguson, got Ravello, 25, 26, 27-yard line. All right, let's get a spot in. You know, this broadcast brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. 547-3673.
And, Mark, we got number 46 in there for Culpeper. It's Jared Brundage for the Culpeper Blue Devils. Playing the linebacker spot.
King George now on its own 27. 2nd and 3. Ferguson, quarterback. Throws. This one incomplete. Through the hands of the intended receiver. You won't see him drop many.
No, he kind of.
That was Makai White, 2 touchdown catches in that first half.
They're doing that little bubble screen inside, and they were trying to catch him. And then if he had caught it, he'd been off to the races. But it was just a little bit high by Ferguson to throw.
An incomplete pass doesn't stop the clock. We're under 6 minutes already in this 3rd quarter.
Yep.
Clock running, and we try to get these spots in and sponsor spots as we can. 3rd down. And 3. Ferguson goes back to the run by handing off to Ailey. Ailey reverses direction, picks up 1st down yardage. It takes 3 or 4 of those white jerseys to bring him down shy of the 40-yard line. Well, you know, this broadcast brought to you in part by Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons, 825-3530. 5:05 clock moving 3rd quarter. Ailey again, the ball carrier.
And it just shows, Mark, how tough a runner Ailey is. He's a little guy, but it takes 4 or 5 Blue Devils to bring him down. I mean, that just shows you his strength.
Really does.
And he's feeling a little bit. I mean, he's walking a little bit gingerly back to the huddle.
Ball now at the 45-yard line. 2nd down and 4 for the Foxes. 48-7 our score in favor of King George. A continuously running clock here in the second half. And it'll be that way unless the Blue Devils cut into that lead. There's the catch by White. White doing more damage for King George.
16 and 22 for Culpeper. Brought them both down. That'd be
Alex Lowe and
Devin Polari.
Yep, Devin Polari. King George now has it. Culpeper side of the field at the 32. Clock running, approaching the 4-minute mark.
We got big number 70, Sean Updike, in there on the defensive line for Culpeper.
King George on the move. Ailey, ball carrier. Got away from the initial hit made by Kobe Charlton, number 21. He picked up yardage inside the 25. We know this broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints, from shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints. 317-1473.
Looks like they're giving Ailey a break.
Also, Copperfish and Time Market, from wood-fired pizzas to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. All right, second down. And about 2. Ferguson going to throw it. Got a receiver. And diving for it, catching it was Blanco, Mauricio Blanco, a junior. And he'll have a first down for King George. And the Foxes have it at the Blue Devil 5.
He just caught that mark, just sliding right down.
Yeah, he
did. And caught it right there, and perfect, catch. It didn't hit the ground. Now in high school and college, you can't get up once your knee hits the ground.
Yeah.
In the pros, he would have been able to get up and run it.
Made a nice catch, did Blanco. Now in the backfield is Jamari Cox alongside the quarterback, Zach Ferguson. Ferguson going to throw it. And this one incomplete. That was Polari defending against number 9, Chance Wiggins.
That was one of the first times they were able to stop Wiggins all night.
Second to go now from the 5. Clock continues to run. Wow.
Is
this the fastest third quarter ever, maybe?
I know. Or we should be used to this with Easter View doing it all.
Well, that's true.
For the last few years. But
all right. From the 5. Second down. Here's Ferguson. Throws on the run. Incomplete. Trying to connect with Kyle Ravello. Unable to do so. Ravello had a touchdown catch in that first half. Well, we're not live tonight, but we have been in the past. We will be next week. And our live sponsor, Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. That's Able Heating and Air at 718-7556. How am I doing, Stephen? Am I picking up the pace?
You're doing good.
Learn to be that guy that does a disclaimer, They cram all those words into
We're
the
not
tight,
liable for this.
All right, here's 3rd and 5. And Ferguson once more. Going to throw to a wide open Mekhi White from 5 yards out. Touchdown, King George. That's Mekhi White's 3rd touchdown catch of the game. That'll make it 54-7 with just under a minute to play here in this first half.
And Mark,
third quarter.
I mean, those two receivers make the quarterback look so good. I mean, you're going to see how their quarterback is going to be leading the Battlefield District in passing. I mean, that was just too easy. Blown coverage there by Culpeper.
I was going to say, because he was so wide open, no one was near him.
Yep. And so we have Ferguson. He's only a junior, so he's coming back next year.
Well, what's really scary is
and the 2 wide receivers.
Well, they're both, sophomores?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really scary for the opposition. Mekhi White and Chance Wiggins. Max Lipinski's gotten a good workout tonight. Kyle Ravello has as well. And it's good. It's 55-7.
And the only thing that might hurt them next year is these 2 receivers. They go the private school route, because they can recruit like Episcopal, Woodbury, Fuma. I don't think they'll go to Fuma, but they would. That's the only thing they could be on the lookout, is because sometimes these college scouts will say, well, look at the competition they played versus if they played against better competition up there. And my saying is the grass isn't always green on the other side.
Maybe it's greener where you water it, right?
Yep. And
Well, then they can't really help that. I mean, they're playing,
No.
and they're
And then you can't tell them not to stop and play. I mean, that's just good football. Culpeper's, got to learn, the way I always say, you gain more respect by beating the teams and keep running your plays and everything. And you keep, as the old saying goes in coaches, you keep a foot on their neck. And don't let up, because that's how you earn respect. Because if you want to now play all your, I guess you want to play your reserves and all that, but then that's showing disrespect to Culpeper because
well. On the other hand, you don't want your starting players to get hurt.
Right.
Knowing the deal has been sealed a long time ago. Devin Polari on the return for Culpeper. So clock stopped. 51 seconds to play here in the third quarter. 55-7. Let's talk about these other games in action. We've got Culpeper playing King George here, but Culpeper's crosstown rival Eastonview at Caroline. I think they were what 21-0 at the half.
27-0.
27-0. And then next week Eastonview is home to James Monroe. That's a game we'll likely film. And Culpeper next week will be at Spotsylvania.
Yep. And Spotsylvania's a good team. I mean, but Culpeper matches up good, and I think you'll get a better showing next week from Culpeper versus Spotsylvania. But right now with King George, they're just the class of the district. They're just they're 2 or 3 steps above Culpeper right now.
Malachi Terrell runs into a stone wall, and he stopped cold there at the line of scrimmage.
And this will probably be the last play.
I was going to
before
say
third
the same
quarter.
thing. It was one of the quickest third quarters we've seen in a long time, as the final seconds will tick off.
Yeah.
And it is official. We've played 3 quarters here at King George, and the Foxes lead 55-7. So that's the end of the third quarter. Let's take a break and come back for the start of the fourth. Keep it right here on the Culpeper Media Network. You're watching Blue Devils football.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, answering any and all questions you may have about your HVAC system. There's peace of mind knowing they are able to keep your home comfortable. Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community. From shirts to banners and everything in between. Imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints, 317-1473. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between. You'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market. More than just a respected funeral home, Found & Sons supports youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
Welcome back to our broadcast and to the start of the fourth quarter here at King George. We're going to see a lot of substitutions for both teams at this point. As we start the fourth quarter, King George up 55-7. And we'll check substitutions as we can as we see them. Bennett Sutherland handing off to the running back there, had nowhere to go. Hit immediately in the backfield. The running back was number 44, wasn't it, Steve?
Yep.
And that's Griffin Tanner.
Griffin Tanner.
Yeah.
So we're getting, and why would you want to run Terrell in there? I mean, he's gained over his 100 yards. You want him, again, Culpeper's Division III, so King George Division IV. So even though they're getting waxed here by King George, it's not going to hurt them as far as a playoff position because of their division.
Here come the Foxes showing pressure.
But, I say be careful what you wish for, because Lake Taylor and Hopewell and Phoebus and all those Bethel now is all into the.
Well, in 3.
Yep.
Well, and then, Lord Botetourt's 3.
Yep.
Whistle and stoppage here as they're going to hand it off to Dylan Shiflett.
Right.
That will, with the whistle, will stop the clock. Not many things will at this point.
No, it was a penalty to stop. The clock stops on penalties.
Delay of game, yeah.
As soon as the ball is set, then it'll start back up.
Steve, we better get these spots in. You know how fast this quarter's going to run, right?
Yep. And see if he stops it. There he is right now. There it goes.
There it goes. It'll get away from you, won't it?
But, Botetourt's 3, but they wouldn't see them until the state semis.
That's true. Yeah. Culpeper now at 29 after that 5-yard mark off. And here goes Bennett Southern throwing short. And I believe that was, oh, that's Alex Love. Nope, I'm sorry. Number 18 for Culpeper is Jacob Roman.
Yep. And Mark, you know, the thing is, with Loudon, it opened up, well, you got new schools, Rock Ridge, you got Independence.
That's the newest of them, isn't
up
it?
there.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of schools up there. And then I didn't know this, that George Mason High School got renamed Meridian.
I didn't know that either.
Yep.
Meridian.
Yep.
So are they still the Mustangs?
I guess Meridian Mustangs, but, you know.
It's got a nice ring to it. Here's a punt by Uribe. High kick this time. This one makes a Blue Devil roll.
Yep, and it's going to be coming back here because it's going to be roughing the punter. And it's going to be a personal foul, and Culpeper's going to get the ball back.
All right. Well, as they mark this off, we'll tell you that this broadcast is brought to you in part by Battlefield Automotive, featuring Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford. Battlefield Automotive, a keystone of service and a cornerstone of our community at 547-3673.
Yep.
And Fountain Sons, which is more than a respected funeral home. They support youth at all levels so they can become tomorrow's leaders. Fountain Sons at 825-3530. All right. So they mark it now at the 48,
Yep.
and that's a first down for Culpeper. And now they say, start that clock.
Yep. They do.
Under 10 minutes to play here in the fourth. 55-7, King George.
Big number 75 for Culpeper. Corey Hutchinson getting on that line. And they're still haven't figured out who Culpeper is and what they're going to be running here.
Well, they're going to call a timeout. Well, you know, our timeout sponsor is CFC Farm and Home Center. The service, knowledge, and products you need for your farm, your home, your pets, your livestock, and equine since 1932. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yep, good job. And, you know, Mark, getting back to, you know, what divisions and all that, again, the Eastern region is bloated, even with the D4 schools and the D3s, because the only other D3 school in Division 3 in the Battlefield District is James Monroe. All the other schools, even Carolina, they're all fours, Division 4s. So, you know, it's all going to be based on points. And of course, your district champions are going to, you know, automatically get in. And then you're going to have the next, you know, 3 or 2 spots, you know, the best record. So, you know, Culpeper is going to have to win out, you know, to get there. So they're going to, and they stand better chances against Spotsylvania and James Monroe and the like.
Steve, let's pick up those reserve players as we can. One of those is in the backfield, Dylan Shiflett getting his second carry. And nowhere to go.
No.
I mean,
and these are the second unit, too.
Right.
And they're going against our first team offensive line. So what does that tell you?
lost 3 yards. Did Shiflett brings up a 2nd and 13.
And it means like Culpeper's got a lot of work to do, Mark, in practice, and especially up front. They're big and everything, but they need to learn how to block and keep lock onto their man.
All right, we have a new quarterback back there, don't we? Charles Holland, number 9.
Yep.
All right, he's getting some reps as a freshman. Fumble, Jakari Edwards. And I think he was able to bounce on it.
Yep.
Had a faulty exchange from quarterback to running back.
Well, I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, he's not been used to it. And they're, like I said, they're taking, here comes Will Holland coming out, and they're all bringing in now more reserves, because you got to live another day, and that's going to have to be next week against Culpeper is going to be playing Spotsylvania, at Spotsylvania, right?
That's correct. Let's get some of these new players mentioned. Reserves. Number 33 is Justin Elkins.
Number 20.
Number 20 is James Miles. And we mentioned number 9 is Charles Holland, a freshman, getting some reps there at quarterback now on 3rd and 12, approaching the 8-minute mark. Here comes the pressure. Holland gets rid of it. He did so wisely, and the intended receiver, no chance, was sophomore Justin Elkins. There he is. And now a 4th down, and R.J. Uribe and the punting team will come on. 7:45 to play. Clock running here in this 4th quarter. This broadcast brought to you in part by Cash Imprints. From shirts to banners and everything in between, imprint your message on the community with Cash Imprints. 317-1473. Well, you know, Uribe has punted well for the Blue Devils. There's one of your bright spots tonight, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Man in motion there was Cole Plaster. Here's Uribe. Going to keep it? Nope. Going to run. And then kick it. High kick. This one doesn't look like it's going to be returned. And a nice roll again inside that 30-yard line. So Uribe has done his job tonight.
And why they stop at the clock? Oh, it's changed.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, and I'll tell you that this broadcast is brought to you in part by Copperfish and Time Market. From wood-fired pizza to the freshest seafood and a world of taste in between, you'll find it all at Copperfish and Time Market.
Mark, we got number 79 in on defense for Culpeper, and that's Vincent Simmons.
Vincent Simmons. He's a senior, 6'3", 270. And looks like King George is going to have it at the 28. All right, here's your ball carrier, number 25. Mentioned his name earlier, Jamari Cox. I think we've got another quarterback in.
Yep.
Not Zach Ferguson. Who's in for him? Let's pick up the number. It's number 12. All right, that's going to be Dylan Coach, a freshman. He's getting some reps here.
And who's besides Simmons? And you got 55 for Culpeper, and that's Jason Young.
Both teams going deep to the bench at this point. A lot of new players, jersey numbers to call at this point. So Dylan Coach, the quarterback, handing off to the running back, number 25, Jamari Cox. Cox's second effort brings him out to about the 40-yard line and a King George first down.
And it's going to be tacked on 15 yards, goes the face mask on Culpeper.
That's sort of like insult to injury, isn't it, at this
sure
point?
Is.
Yeah.
Who's big number 50 for Culpeper? I don't have a 50, do we? Or is it, who's...
Do we have a 50?
Yeah, there's a 50 out there in the line. Is it, 50 right there. Is it 50 or 60? We don't have a 60 either, so.
Don't say phantom player.
We got a phantom player.
You know there'd be one. We thought we would have one in number 90, but we got his name.
I thought we would get away with this and, go one broadcast out, a phantom player, and we do. They're waving it off.
Wave it off.
So 50.
King George on its 40-yard line.
Yep.
Waved off that penalty.
Yep.
We mentioned the reserve players in.
Yep.
Freshman Dylan Coach. Now the quarterback. And hands it off. Jamari Cox.
Yep, and I don't, like I said, King George, that's showing sportsmanship. They're not going to throw it here. They're just going to keep letting the.
No, I don't think you would.
He's going to see if they get a touchdown by running it, they get a touchdown by running it. But
Sean Updike was in on the tackle for Culpeper. And this clock, wow, fast-moving second half. We're down to 5:30 to play in the fourth. 55-7 in favor of King George. Going to be a long ride home for some folks, don't you think?
It is.
All right.
And you don't like, players don't like to get their butts whipped like this, but, it could be a learning thing for Culpeper. They know King George is the gold standard this year in the district, and this is what you want to build to and get to. But again, and see, here's the situation. And Orange is in the same. King George is the only high school in King George County. Orange is the only high school in Orange County. Eventually, Orange is probably going to have to build another one because the way Lake of the Woods in that area is growing so much. And Culpeper has been hurt, because we have two schools, Eastern View and Culpeper.
Still have one in Madison, still have one in Green.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They go back to the run, and that means Jamari Cox. And on the tackle for Culpeper.
And number 50, too.
Number 50.
I don't know his name, but.
Well, it's not Sean Lee, is it?
No. You're right, from the Dallas Cowboys.
He retired.
Yeah.
He wore 50. Not Leighton Vander Esch.
Vander Esch, I think, has got to retire. I believe retired because of so many concussions.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be, his brain could be mushed by the time he's 50.
That's sad.
It is.
But anyway, and that's fairly common, unfortunately.
And that's why they get the big money, though, in
Yeah.
pro football. So.
Cox again on the carry, picks up first down yardage. We've got an injured Blue Devil.
Number 55.
All right, 55. That's Jason Young.
Yeah,
He's only a freshman.
He's holding his leg.
And he may be attended to for a couple minutes here. Why don't we take a break and give Johnny a break up behind that camera. We'll come back when the action resumes. Keep it right here on the Culpeper Media Network. You're watching Blue Devils football.
This broadcast is brought to you by the following community sponsors.
Able Heating and Air, 718-7556. Battlefield Automotive, 547-3673. Cash Imprints, 317-1473. The Copperfish and Time Market, 825-1011. Found & Sons, 825-3530.
All right, welcome back to our broadcast. The injured Blue Devil player there, number 55, is a freshman defensive tackle, a fellow by the name of Jason Young. And certainly hope he's okay. And as he is assisted to the sidelines, King George's offense comes back to the line of scrimmage, and it's at the Culpeper 44.
We also got another phantom player, number 60, for Culpeper.
Yeah, we just didn't get that complete update, did we?
Nope.
Here's your ball carrier trying to get to the outside. That was Norris, David Norris, the senior running back. His second carry of the night. Nothing doing. Clock will continue to run down to 3:25 and counting here in the fourth.
See, high schools, you don't have to have the name on the back of the jersey like you do in college. So you can't. We've got 60 and 50.
Ball remains on the Culpeper 44. This is the running back again, getting to the outside, picking up running in yards, Jamari Cox. Well, you know, with that lead, King George has the luxury of resting Gabe Bailey and utilizing the services of Jamari Cox. And it's working pretty well for him. So after that long gainer, King George will have it now at the Culpeper 14. Picked up 30 yards on the play.
Right, and I know King George is going to want to try to see if they can get a touchdown. They can get it over 60, but if I was King George, you can take a knee now, basically. They can run it right out here.
All right, first and 10 now from the Culpeper 14-yard line. Coach, your quarterback freshman. Here comes your ball carrier. This is I believe this is one whose number we haven't called tonight. Let's see. Pick up the number. Is it 16?
Yep.
Oh, no, no, I thought it was 14. 16, David Norris, his third carry.
Okay.
And he got picked up 4 to the 10. Second down and 6. Under 2 minutes to play here in this one. Well, you know, we've talked about this before. When you have your reserve players in, you can't expect them not to play hard.
Right. They want to play hard. They want to impress the coaches.
And in fact, it's not even safe to not play hard, is it?
No, it isn't.
Straight ahead the ball carrier. And they finally wrestle him to the ground. That was Jamari Cox, I believe.
The clock's still running.
It was Cox. He's really had his share of the carries tonight. And again, when you're as far ahead as your team is, you do have the luxury of going deep to your bench. You're giving these guys some reps.
Yeah, I'm giving some reps to pay off for you in the long run.
So Jamari Cox is in the backfield. On the left of the quarterback, Dylan Coach. And then on his right is David Norris. And Norris gets the call. Norris is headed to the end zone. And looks like he is in. Let's check the call. It is good.
Yeah.
King George touchdown from 6 yards out. And it was David Norris.
Yeah.
your senior running back.
He just ran right in to open up the hole and was able to get in there for the touchdown.
Steve, I don't mean to put you on the spot. When was the last time Culpeper lost by such a margin? Do you remember?
No, I remember Culpeper scoring 74 in Sarando.
Well, 74-29, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm like, I can't remember. I mean, even going back to days when I'm playing, and we weren't that good either, but we never lost by scores like this. It would, I could say.
Did they take the touchdown off?
No.
Well, it was a penalty against King George, so that's not a touchdown.
They took it off.
Yeah.
What was the call?
I didn't see it.
Huh.
Well, the clock
illegal procedure, because it only went back to
the 19th?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. It was at the 10, I thought. All right, now he takes the knee. He'll only have to do that maybe once more at that.
No, I think it's it, isn't it?
Could be. Coach.
I would think, we lost to Steve Atkins in Spotsylvania my sophomore year, but that was 48 to
I was thinking
48 to 6 or something like that.
I was thinking about during our broadcasting.
I've never seen Culpeper lose, but they didn't get 60 points, so it's 55 to 7.
Final 10 seconds ticking off right now.
Yep.
Before it officially goes in the books. And they count these last ones off, and it is official. King George, a whopping win tonight at home, 55-7 over Culpeper. Well, Steve, briefly, for both perspectives, King George did a lot of things right. But from Culpeper's point of view, I know R.J. Uribe punted well. What else did you see tonight that impressed you?
Well, I mean, Malachi Terrell, he went over 100 yards, and he's over 1,000 yards for the season. That's a little bright spot, but he was getting banged up pretty much because King George was just wanting to, step in the box, line up the box and stop him. Really, they didn't, other than that, it's very few bright spots to find in what Culpeper did tonight. They just thoroughly got whipped and by a better team. And so they've got to make some changes coming up to practice to be more competitive and see what happens. But, they got to play Spotsylvania, and Spotsylvania is no pushover. Coach Jeremy Jack down there has done a good job. So it's going to be a tough road, but Culpeper's got to get back on the winning track and learn from this and come out and have a good practice next week and see and line them up and get ready to play Spotsylvania.
All right. Well, next week we expect to film the Eastern View versus James Monroe game to be played at Cyclone Stadium. All right. For Steve and Johnny, I'm Mark O'Connell saying thanks for watching and supporting Blue Devils football here on the Culpeper Media Network. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Friday night.
Good night.